More and more companies that specialize in marketing are turning to the brain to get you to buy more junk. So, are these companies turning to the neurosciences in order to better target you as a consumer so that you don't waste your time buying other products, or to manipulate you into becoming a consumer that you wouldn't have become otherwise? As you can probably guess, based on the title of this video alone, I'm discussing the neuroscience of marketing. But before I do, make sure to subscribe to this channel if you want more bite-sized pieces of information about that thing in your head. No, not that idea about how you're going to create a machine that hypnotizes everyone in the world to do all of your bidding so that I can become emperor of the world. Evil laugh. Anyways, where was I? The brain. Speaking of taking over the world, brands, they're designed to represent a product, and that can be a tangible good, a service, or even a person, the most iconic of which are known the world over. Brands aren't a global phenomenon because they represent the best possible product available out of all possible options, but due to some very clever marketing. Now, the marketing of today has increasingly looked to the behavioral sciences to take advantage of our brains and behaviors in order to get people to purchase products. For a long while, it was assumed that consumers were rational actors, that they made informed decisions about their purchases, and were loyal to brands based on quality. However, as anyone who has watched their tiny apartment get taken over by knickknacks can attest to, the idea of consumers as rational choice makers is nothing more than a cute idea, of which is now perpetuated to help justify terrible spending habits, because at that time I really needed that magic 8-ball. Look, my life wasn't going very well. I wanted some level of perceived predictability. I don't need to explain myself, okay? So if we aren't deciding using rationality on which brands to follow on social media as a sign of brand loyalty, then how are we making these decisions? Neuroscientists and marketers have been asking the same question for years. Neuroscientists desire to understand the neural mechanisms behind choice and decision making. Marketers desire to understand how to tap into decision and choice making to tailor adverts for consumers. Combining the two fields can lead to a cause and effect process where marketers are able to tap into the neural mechanisms underlying choice and decision making to target certain people for product consumption. Neuromarketers investigate three primary areas that appear to influence consumer behaviors: branding, product presentation, and, unsurprisingly, pricing. Essentially, brands are the story behind the product. Marketers understand the importance of evoking emotions regarding brands. This may be why advertisements are designed to evoke emotions, for better or for worse, such as advertisements telling you that it's okay to be yourself. And while you're at it, go and grab one of our burgers. According to researchers, more popular and well-known brands are so consistent in the cultural mind that when people encounter them, these brands should activate the same neural patterns across most members in society, meaning that they should activate the same neural pathways. Researchers have also discovered that luxury brands activate brain mechanisms responsible for emotion, attention, and motivation compared to their non-luxury counterparts. Further, this phenomenon is enhanced when in the presence of another individual, indicating a significant social component. Perhaps this is why word of mouth is such a powerful tool. Oh, which reminds me, don't forget to share this video with family and friends. Wink. Another interesting aspect about brands is their ability to activate not only the emotional and attentional centers in the brain, but also their ability to activate the part of the brain responsible for survival and a sense of self. These findings have led some marketers to suggest how to better create brands. First, focus on what consumers will get from the product, and don't worry about outlining the features. For instance, by watching, subscribing, and sharing brief brain snacks videos, you will better understand how the human brain works and be a part of an elite community of brainiacs. You may also get pointers on how to create your personal brand. The thing I just mentioned may be tapping into brain areas responsible for self-centric behaviors. Second, in order to harness the powerful decision-making mechanism in the brain, the emotional and impulsive limbic system, associate your brand with an emotion. Use positive emotions to sell your brand and negative emotions to tarnish the brands of your competitors. For instance, Feed your brain the satisfying thinking fuel it deserves. Brief brain snacks. In order to capture people's attention and help people justify their reasoning for choosing your brand over the competition, use visuals and create an easy-to-follow narrative. These aspects will enable the medial prefrontal cortex to do what it does best: rationalize behaviors and integrate other areas of the brain, including emotional and reward processing centers. Cue the music. Brief Brain Snacks is more than just a channel on YouTube, it's a vision. With the increasing cost of a college education, I understood that not everyone has the ability to gain the knowledge I was fortunate enough to obtain. So I created Brief Brain Snacks to make understanding the brain and behavior accessible to anyone who desires to learn more about themselves and even those around them. When I was going through my coursework, I noticed a real gap between understanding brain areas and neuronal functioning and how that may apply to how we behave and why we think the way that we do. So I don't just focus on the brain and what behavior certain areas may be related to, but I attempt to make it more applicable. The other channels, they aren't asking how our brains develop to create stories, or even how our brains are being used in marketing. Focusing beyond basic functioning makes it more applicable and accessible for you. It's more difficult, but we at Brief Brain Snacks believe it's worth it. Importantly, these techniques I've mentioned have been employed in marketing prior to the emergence of neuromarketing. What brain research has been able to do is support the use of these already existing techniques. Techniques that aren't limited to branding, but extend to packaging and pricing as well. Both of which tap into already discussed areas in the brain in much of the same way, by evoking emotions, focusing on a sense of identity, and helping rationalize impulsive decision-making behaviors. Now, this leads me to a cautionary note. First, our brains are the least understood organ of the body. Thus, any discoveries made in neuromarketing can't be considered absolute. Therefore, responsible researchers will always be cautious in their interpretations. Second, marketing ethic watchdogs may consider the use of neuroscience in marketing as a potential avenue for consumer manipulation. This is a valid concern. When science is viewed as a capital venture, it may be ripe for abuse. As an example, consider this. Obesity leads to various ailments, placing people at risk for diseases and illnesses such as diabetes and certain kinds of cancers. Poor diets can lead to obesity. If adverts using the power of science are capable of manipulating consumers into consuming products they otherwise wouldn't have consumed, such as products high in sugars and fats, this may lead to higher levels of obesity, thus creating a public health crisis. So what are the responsibilities of neuromarketers in assuring the health and safety of the public? The use of neuroscience to create capital at the expense of the people can damage the much-needed trust between the public and scientists. Thus, until those trained in ethical neuroscience are integrated into the field of neuromarketing, particularly within the private sector, I'm inclined to defer to caution and believe that neuroscience designed to manipulate consumption behaviors shouldn't be done at all. Do you agree or disagree? Comment below. If you liked what you watched, subscribe to my channel and don't forget to share with family and friends. Also, make sure to hit that like button. Also, if you want to support my channel with big brainiac energy, then head on over to my Patreon page to become a contributing member. And as always, thanks for feeding your brain with Brief Brain Snacks.